Well, good evening everybody, welcome and thank you all so much for joining me this evening. It's absolutely wonderful to have so many of you here. My name's Lindsay West and I'm the founder of Values Coach UK and, as you know, the author of Coaching with Values. So I'm very pleased to be here this evening. Now I've got a few thank yous to say before I continue to my talk. My thanks go to Charles for the introduction there, thank you very much, and to all my colleagues at the Values Alliance. There's quite a few of you here, so it's wonderful to have that support. Also, thank you to all my lovely values coaches. I can see you around the room. Thank you to you for being here, and thank you for sharing my journey in developing the values coach business and the training courses and so on. It's wonderful to have so many of you here. Put your hands up, values coaches, where are you? A few values coaches around. So these wonderful people have all been on my training course, so they all know what it's about. So if anybody wants to hear anything about the training, then do have a chat with the lovely team of values coaches. My thanks to Daunt Books, to the team over here for their support this evening. Thank you very much. Thank you for allowing us to use your wonderful shop here to host this evening. It's been a pleasure working with you both. Thank you for your support. Thank you also to some very old friends, people I haven't seen for some 10 years. Some of you, Michael at the back there, and Kathleen, obviously I've known for a long time, Monica too. There's a few of you that I haven't seen for a long time, and it's really, really lovely to have you with me to celebrate this evening. Thanks also to those new friends that I've made more recently through LinkedIn. So this wonderful new social media tool that we have. Now I've never found a use for social media until this year, but I have to say that we found one now. So all these new friends, and most of you are standing at the front here, it's lovely to meet you all and finally actually put a person to that little picture, the little avatar on the screen on LinkedIn. So great to have you here, and thanks for your support and thanks for your interest in my work. And finally, thank you to my family and to my other friends here. Thanks to my husband Mike, who's supported me through all of this time of writing this wonderful book. I've dedicated the book to Mike, so those of you who've got a copy, you'll see the dedication is to him for helping me to live my values every day. So thank you to you. So I thought it might be good to just share with you a little about how I came to connect values with coaching. So as you've heard from Charles, my passion and interest in values goes way back. Actually 10 years ago was when I first got introduced to values, when I trained as a coach, as I'm sure many of you who are coaches have some experience of values through that. So 10 years ago I was in not a great place. I had a good and long career in banking over, I won't tell you how many years, but probably too many years. And it came to a point where my career just had stopped and I was stuck and not getting any further. Hitting my head on that glass ceiling 3 times was more than I could take. My personal life wasn't great either. I wasn't living a healthy life either, so it was time for change, and I made that change quite radically over the space of about 18 months. I took redundancy from the bank. I went through a divorce and sold my house and everything, just pretty much all in about 18 months, and just decided that's it, clean slate, start all over again. But when you start again, you need some foundation to begin that new change. And when I decided to train as a coach, that interest came through my love of personal development, of managing large teams in the bank and developing my staff. People often ask me, how did you get into coaching? And actually a lot of ex-bankers do go into coaching. I've met an awful lot of coaches who used to be, yes, a few nods around the room, a lot of people do go into coaching from banking. So I had a love of personal development, and I got interested in NLP, and that's when I met Michael Beale at the back there, who's a fantastic NLP trainer. And I did the Master NLP Practitioner course with him, and that's where I met a lot of coaches and found that this was something that I felt I was interested in. It was quite new in this country then, mostly only life coaches, not much else. It was much bigger in America. So it's quite a challenge to move into a new and growing industry. So I completed my coach training and set up my business. Now it was during that coach training that I understood what values were and explored my own personal values and identified my core top 10 values. So I was able to use those values as a foundation for rebuilding my own life. And I went on to use the techniques that I learned in my coach training to help others, my clients, to understand their core values too. Now when I was training, I learned a huge number of coaching techniques, different approaches. Every course I went to, every meeting I went to, you learn more techniques, different approaches to coaching. And of course all the NLP techniques as well. But the one technique that I found that was not only the most powerful in working with clients, but also the most sustainable was working with values. And I found that, you know, there's lots of techniques that you can use and they make a shift and that's fantastic, but then, you know, there's not a longevity to them. Whereas with values, once you understand your core values, you have real clarity on what's important to you, that then takes you forward for the rest of your life. I believe that our values as adults don't change that much. You know, we have our core set of values. We may have different behaviours around those values, but they are still our core values and remain so for our lives. So the values techniques that I started to develop allowed people to use those core values to help them in any situation. So in helping my clients as well as helping myself using values, I started to realise that there was more to it than just exploring and understanding your values, which is where most coaches stop and where most of the coach training actually stops. So I started to use values and adapt all the coaching techniques and NLP techniques I used and adapt them to have a values-based approach. So I built the values in to the different techniques. And over time, I have developed a framework, which I call the I Value Coaching Framework, no big surprise there. So the acronym I Value is the 6 stages of the framework. And within that framework, there's a set of 20 techniques that help people to understand what their values are, but then go on to live those values. And that's the key for me. Understanding them, it gives you clarity, it gives you a good sense of who you are and what's important to you. But it's only when you actually start to live those values and use your values every single day of your life that it really comes alive and you start making the right decisions because you've used your values to help you make those decisions. You can manage your emotions because you understand where the emotion's coming from and you can use those values to help you to control your emotions, but also to strengthen those emotions. So for solving problems, taking action, goal setting, all of these things can be done using values. So I found over time, I actually when I first started writing this book, it was meant to be a book just about values because I just really excited about values. I loved it, so I wanted to just write a book about values. But as time went on and I was doing so much with my clients in terms of using those values, the book became much more about that link between coaching and values and how to link those two things and put it into practice. So whilst it started out a book about values, it's now something quite different. So and it's really about the coaching aspect. It's a book for people that use coaching in any way, in any part of your lives, whether you're coaching your children or whether you're coaching in practice as practitioners or whether you're coaching as part of a management role. So all of the techniques are hugely useful in any of those capacities. So bringing us up to today, my mission, if you like, is to honour one of my personal values, which is to make a difference. Now I feel I've made a difference with all my clients. That's what they tell me. I get the most wonderful feedback years later, even that people are still using their values. So my mission is to make a bigger difference in the world through helping others to use their values, but most of all to train and support other coaches to use values more in their practice, because that way the message gets out to so many more people. I can only coach so many clients in a year, but if I can train other coaches to use these techniques with their clients, then you know the pyramid effect happens, and there's so many more people that can you know, receive the benefit of values and what it means to live a values-led life. So that, together with the work at the Values Alliance and other things that I'm progressing, is really what my message is to you today. So if you're interested in values, and I imagine you are because you're all here, then please do. I'd love you to buy the book, but most of all, I'd love you to read the book, and I would love you to use the techniques that are within the book. And if any of you are interested in taking that further and joining me in the development of the Values Coach UK business and training as a values coach, then please do come and have a chat with me, have a chat with the values coaches that are here. So thank you all so much for coming, and I do hope that we will continue to get to know each other and share ideas and develop our work together. And if anybody wants to come and have a chat with me about what you're doing and how values can take part in that, then I'd very much like to hear from you. So thank you all for coming. Please do charge your glasses and please eat some food. There's lots of food there left, so enjoy, and networking as well. It's wonderful to have so many people here, or like-minded people from the same industry. So enjoy the evening, and thank you very much indeed for coming. Thank you.
I'm not going to keep you long, but I just want to